Welcome to Cut Daisies and Unicorns, and here we are, episode number 10. 10. So, if you've been listening to Cut Daisies for the last 6 seasons, you'll know that we end with 10.
We do.
Yeah.
10 seems to be a really big number.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get my mind wrapped around it. And so, isn't 1 and 0 a major part of coding?
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Zeros and ones and zeros.
Yeah. But,
it's the language of the computer. Or, if you believe that we're living in a simulation, that we're all ones and zeros.
Oh, that's true. I was asking myself that question yesterday. If I was living my simulated life, or if I was living my authentic life.
Right. Yeah, and so if we're living in a simulation, then ultimately we have no choice on what we do.
Except whoever's like running the controller, right?
Whoever's running the controller. Like a Sims game.
Uh-huh.
I know that my daughter Caitlin, she loves playing Sims.
Really?
Yeah. So she has a whole Sims universe, things that are set up, and
wow.
So it's I don't think I've ever played Sims. I don't know. Have you ever played Sims?
I'm not a video gamer.
Yeah.
I think that has to do, in a large part, it has to do with the time in history that I grew up in, really.
Yeah.
And
so you never played Atari either?
Well, see, that's the thing is, like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but it was like only the rich kids had. Like, it was like technology was so expensive as it was coming out.
Right.
And I say that fully understanding that I wasn't a poor kid.
Right.
We had all the essential needs growing up. And so it probably really came down to that my dad thought it was just not necessary.
Probably.
One of the things, those little handheld football games.
Yeah.
And I remember getting one of those for Christmas, but we never went. But that was just moving a little red dot down the field, working against a computerized defense, and things like that. And so, but
I had the handheld baseball, with a little dot that came down to, and then you hit it.
Yeah.
Swing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know. It just was, and then by the time that stuff came out and became more attainable and stuff like my brain never got wired that way, and so it wasn't a goal.
Yeah, I remember, probably then by the time I was even playing those, Atari was 80, so sometime it would have been probably 85, maybe I started video games like Atari, which then you still didn't play that much.
Right.
It would be, because it wasn't one of those ones you had to, the adventure games and the online playing that they have today. It was just original Atari games that were just very simple. What is the Berserk, Pong, down.
Yeah.
So it's not things that you were I want to sit here in front of this and play this for hours. Now, eventually, we also got into Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, that was a big.
Right.
Yeah.
And that one you play longer because then it was you're going from level to level. You're going I mean, so there's much more incentive for you to play longer because you have a goal. You're trying to be able to beat this.
Yeah.
Like there's no goal. I mean, like you win in a Pong game and you're like, okay, like what's next?
Let's play Pong again.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some of those ones like in the Nintendo, we would play like Tecmo Bowl,
Yeah.
right? Which was, I mean, very like little small guys, and and you always wanted to get like Bo Jackson was good in Tecmo Bowl, so he would run like crazy. You'd just be super quick and
Wow.
so, yeah. But yeah, and then unfortunately, I think I also then jumped to PlayStation after. Like I didn't go with the iterations of Nintendo. I didn't do a Super Nintendo. I went from like Nintendo to PlayStation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I resided during my video game days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know my son Micah really enjoys video games, and then my nephews, both Josh and Connor. And funny that you bring this up. Connor was in the state championship esports
Yeah.
tournament on Tuesday. And so they came in second place
Wow.
in the state. And I mean, he's a major player on that team.
Yeah.
I mean, like it. And so my sister sent a link that we could watch from their high school was live streaming the tournament.
Yeah.
And they had two guys that were commentating and, just kind of, it really bridged the gap because me watching a screen, and even though I knew who Sparky Hawkins was, I mean, it was, but for them to talk about, how they go in and then they have where they're able to block characters that the other team can't pick.
Yeah.
The first three are done pregame. Then the team comes together and chooses who they're going to be. And then as they go past the first three picks, then after that, for every pick, then there's 2 additional or 3 additional blocks of characters that could, like, you throw wrenches into other people's games based on what you're choosing and based on who you're blocking.
Wow.
Yeah, and
So do they tell them up front like what game they're going to be playing, or
yeah, I
like,
think
how
it's
does that
I think
happen?
it's the same game
Yeah.
for the whole year, and I don't know that they even changed the game. I have no, dude, I have no idea.
Like to me, it's just a create like I mean, because when you look at it, you're also I mean, there's people in this esports, I mean, that are like millionaires because of just playing games.
I know
I mean,
that
because it's entertainment for.
I know
many,
that guy
many
too.
people. Yeah.
There is a millionaire 30-year-old in Iowa,
Yeah.
and when I was in mortgages, I worked with his mom and dad, and he went off to college, got his degree, but set up a Twitch account, and then he got so good in tournaments
Yeah.
that then people wanted to know how he approached the game, and that's where he started getting followers on Twitch, and then the advertisements and all of that. Well,
Yeah.
then he's the kind of player where when there's a new release, he gets the release early, so then he can be able to do
Right. Tutorials and-
instructions
yeah.
and stuff like that. I mean, but I think I was told that like the top 5 players in the state of Iowa can get full ride scholarships to the top 3 universities in the state.
Wow.
I mean, that's how much
Right.
that like, and I think in the sciences, they understand that the human brain is affected by playing, and so these players that are really good at what they're playing, I mean, and even the commentators brought up too, this whole thing about the difference between playing as an individual and as playing as a team. And how that's part of the growth of these e-teams as they come together, because a lot of times they can spend time playing by themselves as an individual, but then the team part of the work for them to be able to carry on. And then it was like a best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And wow, it was fascinating. It was really really fascinating. I was as fascinated by that as I was by the Netflix series on Lost Ancient Society.
Right. So I wonder, like, how, I mean, because when you're looking at especially like these esports, but you also look at regular sports, like within, you have to spend a lot of time practicing and getting good at what you're doing. So I wonder, how long do you think Connor plays video games? I mean, does he have a regiment that he goes through in order to continue to be better at his craft? Like, do you know that?
Well, see, in this situation, the team actually gets together and has practices,
Yeah,
just like a football team.
yeah,
And I don't know what that time frame is. I don't know what it takes. I mean, he's a very well-rounded student. I mean, as far as from academics and then his involvement in the community and, and then the esports, but like he's helped out with theater, being in it, running sound, running lights, and stuff like that. So, yeah, and I would imagine that, I mean, and I've known him to be around when he's at my mom's place. Like he'll be on if it's a down week, he'll have meetup times where he goes online and he plays games with other people, and then the fascinating part too is then as friendships develop, and I know that there are people who like get to know other players, can appreciate through the conversation and stuff like that, and they end up like saying, "Oh, well, let's meet up in this town, and we'll get together for a weekend and just hang out and be real people instead of our online personalities or whatever and stuff." So
Yeah.
it's really interesting, but not the way my brain's wired.
Right.
I did
Yeah.
like if there was a game on the computer or on a console, I always enjoyed a golf game. Because I could relate to that whole part. I think when Apple came out with, was it Apple? No. What's the one where you hold the things in your hand and
Oh, that was Wii.
okay.
Yeah, so Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, the Nintendo Wii. And that was interactive, and some friends of ours when the kids were younger.
Bowling.
Bowling and
Tennis
and
they had
golf,
that whole
too.
Wii Sports, yep.
Yeah. And the driving the cars, and stuff like that. And then, and then the other one that I really enjoyed, it was a console game that you fed quarters into back in the day, but Star Wars. The original Star Wars video game.
But you played it on an actual machine.
Yeah, I can't
Like
remember now.
Oh, because you were saying you fed it quarters, so.
I think
So
it
it would have been
originated that way, but
yeah.
then I think they eventually incorporated it into. I'm not sure.
Okay.
My memory fails me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know much about that world. I mean, like we had friends who would get together and play, but there at that point in time, I don't remember anybody actually, becoming pro.
Right.
Like, I don't know if that was a thing. When did that happen? I mean, but you're looking at it and you're saying all of these, the video game companies, I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Oh my gosh,
So,
absolutely.
of course, they're going to find ways in which they can continue to, capitalize and get their games out there. I mean, it's the same thing with sports, right? I mean,
Yeah.
how does a sport become more popular? Well, you get people who are playing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're putting it out there and saying, hey, these are our best.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't it happen there then?
Right.
So,
Yeah. And I think that, there's the hook is the versions released, from the inception of said game, and then people would look forward to, like, once they conquered and, like, so you have the games where it's like people are, like, I don't know, what is it, competing against each other, and it's you competing against the other player, or there's a solo mode where you can, be playing against the artificial intelligence, or
Yeah.
then now with everything being hooked up and you drop into these games that you could be playing anyone from around the world
Right.
online. But then there's the part of the adventure part of the game, like you said, getting to certain levels, and you defeat the game that way. Well, then once people defeated that, that allowed for the companies to come back and say, "Oh, well, we'll do version 10 now," and
Right.
an annual release of what that is. Now, I don't even know how it works with cloud-based, and
Right.
are these things then released and you have to purchase to be able to get in and play, or it was weird because then, like, I remember buying my son gift cards so that he could be able to play
Right.
with time online,
Uh-huh.
and stuff. And so, yeah, it's fascinating how the evolution of video games has gone through. And, I mean, and we're talking about, I would guess, in the 50 years, you look at 5 decades of time. And I'm saying that when I was an 8-year-old, you're talking about 1985. That's when I was an 18-year-old. I mean, as far as I was graduating from high school, going to college at that time. And then that's when technology was starting to get into the hands of not people at NASA,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, with the goal of putting personal computers in front of actual people.
Right.
Right. I mean, and I know it happened before 85, but that I think the evolution of getting it from supercomputers to computer personal, so our phones and our computers today, they would, have been massed in large,
Yeah.
buildings and whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Technology, the way it moves.
Well, and even this past year, didn't we get into a little bit of a political hubbub about someone going to Taiwan? And they were kind of skating over party lines because it was the first time a U.S. Politician, but Taiwan being like claimed by China,
Right.
but not China. Kind of like a Hong Kong China situation there, but that in Taiwan, like, the super chips are made, and no one here in the U.S. has figured out how to make these chips.
Right.
And so then you're dealing with supply chain issues, and all of a sudden now we don't know if a Tesla can even, like, go down the road because, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Right.
the manufacturing of what's going on. And basically, a Tesla car is basically a computer on wheels when you think about it.
Oh,
How
yeah.
you boil that thing down. I mean, yeah, they've got supercharged and it's electric motor, and I mean,
Right.
like, I mean, it has tires. Wow. It's crazy.
It is. So, episode 10. We took a little bit of a detour down the video game technology realm, but episode number 10. What do we got on 10 facts, numbers,
Well,
the number 10?
you and I were talking the other day.
Yeah.
And it just starts playing with my mind when I consider the number 10. Because when we teach children to count, I mean, maybe I've forgotten this part, but we don't necessarily start with 0.
Mm-mm. Not usually.
I mean, our first episode, we don't start with 0, episode 0. Now we're shooting our second one, which is actually 1. I mean, it's like we start with 1.
Right.
But there is a 0.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 10, is 10 the end? Like, I'm wondering if from now on all of our seasons really should be 9 episodes long. But I mean, that would mess up our system, and it'd be hard to calculate. I mean,
Because then we could just go from actual do an episode 0 to 9, which would still give us 10 episodes.
we could. But then doing the math on how many episodes have we shot? Well, I mean, we'd be able to, since we're doing 10. But I mean, yeah, to that point. And yet, when we cross over the first decade and we move 1 through 10 and we start with 11, 11 is the beginning of the teens, right?
Right.
But it's not a
But
teen.
it's not a teen.
Nor is 12. But 13 is all the way to 19. But when someone turns from 19 to 20, they're called a 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
But then you started a new group of 10, or did you? Because you see where this is playing with my head?
Right.
So like if you have your first decade, you're 1 through 10. All right, I get it. So then you're 11, 12, then you're in your teens. When by the time you get to 19, in theory, you haven't lived your 2 decades until you hit 20.
Yeah.
But now you're in your 20s. So you've started your 20s with a 0.
Mm-hmm.
And at 21, you get to drink.
Right.
So then you go from 20s to 29. So you still get 10 years because you are going with the 0
Right.
to the 9. And then you hit 30. You're celebrating 30. But it's not the end of your 20. It really is the end of your 20s, but it's the beginning of your 30s. But it starts with the 0, and then when you're 31, you've already been in it for 2 years.
Right.
But you're labeled 31, but it's really 2 years you've been in your 30s.
Right. There's a lot.
This is how 10 is really tripping me up. So is there anything special about 10? I think what's special about 10 is I'm befuddled, even more so than technology or video games. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think it is. I mean, and I think it is interesting that we don't. I mean, when you look at kids, when they're born, they're 0.
Yeah, I mean, you're celebrating.
So we talk about
the year.
3 months, 6 months, and then you go 12 months, 18. You don't just call them 1. Like they're 12, or sometimes you say we're celebrating their first birthday, but
right.
But we do celebrate the 0 there. Right? So we're like, hey, they're 3 months or 6 months or 8 months, 9 months. So we are counting the 0 for them, but it's almost like we're like, I mean, everything else, the 0 is not necessarily a part of it.
Right.
So yeah, we don't go with a episode 0, so we don't do I mean, because we feel like 0 is nothing. And
right.
If 0 is nothing, then why would we count it?
But it's necessary
but
for
it's
us.
still necessary.
Yeah, because you can't have 10 units. And so...
Because you're living your first year, but you're not 1.
Right.
So that's the same thing. Like, so I am 44, but I'm actually working on my 45th year. So, like I'm working up. So,
yeah, because your first year is, so you're not celebrating the year to come. Like when I turned 56 in January.
Yeah.
It will be a celebration of the 56th year that I lived.
Right.
But I'll be 56 for the whole next year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really living...
Working on your 57th year.
my present self is working on my future self.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. I mean, I guess that's what was brought out when we talked about 10. It's like, is it the end of something? Is it the beginning of something? so to us, we're kind of in, I mean, like it's a little bit of a limbo, situation where you're in between. Because it's got a zero.
Yeah.
But zero is going to have value. No.
Yeah. And then when you start adding a bunch of zeros, then, the idea, I remember when the national debt went into the billions, and I mean, people were just aghast,
Right.
And now it's in the trillions. and then when they start in the TED Talks and stuff like that, start trying to describe what 1 trillion really is. I mean, it blows my mind.
I mean, a trillion should be like to us, like, whoa, like, I mean, that's a, like, it would, I think there's a thing, I mean, like, how long would it take you to count to a trillion?
I don't know that I could ever count to a trillion.
Right.
Right.
I mean, if you were going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I mean, I wonder how long it would take. I think there was somebody who documented that. Like, let me see. Yeah, let's go billion here first. So 25 seconds to count to 100, but 100 years to count to a billion. So you would be correct in saying there's no way that we could count to a trillion.
Right.
I mean, because how many billions are in a trillion?
Yeah, I don't know.
Numbers.
Oh my gosh.
Can you count to 1 billion in your lifetime? You would never get there in your lifetime, nor your children, grandchildren, or great-grandchildren. If you and one descendant per generation saved $100 every day, and each of you lived 90 years, it would take you and 304 generations of your descendants to save up $1 billion. I mean, those are some numbers.
Yeah, I guess. So apparently, the Googs, brought us this, the divine meeting, the angel numbers, all this other stuff. And 10 is, 10 says it's very significant. We haven't met a number yet that isn't significant.
I know. It's always significant in some way.
Return to unity or the completion of a cycle. So they're putting on that 1 through 10 is the completion of a cycle. And that's where my argument for age bracketing really sucks. Because really, when you cross over into the 10th digit, but I think it does a reverting. Because if it's a complete, if when I'm 30, well, I guess that does signify you've completed the cycle of your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I talked myself into that one.
They said the length of your hand, if you're an adult, is 1/10 of your total height. Length of your hand, 1/10 of my entire height.
Wow.
I would just have to take their word for that because I don't know.
I know that I learned back in the day that the width of my hand is the equivalent of 8 inches. And so whenever I need to do a quick measure on something,
yeah,
I can do a hand and a half as a foot.
Huh.
Yeah.
I
mean, little tricks.
Right.
You were helping me on a project this week, and I took you down the tricks of the trade. Right. We fixed it barnyard style.
Uh-huh.
And, yep, haven't met a project that I haven't had to do over at least once. Oh, man.
Virginia's the 10th state of the United States, so the Commonwealth. Yeah, that's what they are. They like to call themselves a Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm.
The Commonwealth of Virginia.
Uh-huh.
I'm here to serve at the pleasure. Watching too much Madam Secretary is what's going on.
Yeah, and they talk about Interstate 10, I-10, and I-10 goes coast to coast, goes from Florida to California.
You know, those incrementally go up in number.
Yeah.
So you got I-10, Interstate 80.
Yeah.
Like they go up
So
in
they're-
normal.
mhm.
Like up, the further north you go, the larger the number is on the coast to coast.
Yeah. So if you're looking at north, then would be a higher number versus the south.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
I mean, you know,
I mean, I-10, I
social
just
media.
knew from, a lot of like Arizona, like I-10 is a major interstate in Arizona
Yeah.
going from, place to place, but then it goes through Phoenix area into California. So you'd take I-10 if you were going to like LA or something. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. All the interstates.
All the interstates.
All right.
Yeah. So what else about number 10?
Fresh new beginnings.
So that's
just kind of in numerology.
yeah. Now this says the 10th day was the day for rest in the French calendar. I wonder why they picked the 10th day was for rest. I mean, because that would be midweek, right? I mean, if you were starting, depending on, I guess, whether you started on Saturday or whether you started on Sunday.
Well, I mean, or every time a 10 comes up, it's time to rest.
Maybe.
The 10th, the 20th, the 30th. You get 3 in a month.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's this French calendar thing is kind of weird because they only had a 10-hour clock, and then they had a 10-day week.
Oh.
So they just reordered it completely.
What year was that
It's
supposed?
after 12 years of the 10-day weeks, Napoleon put a stop to the French. So he put a stop in 1806 to it, but it doesn't. So if it was 12 years, so it would have been 1794.
Huh.
Would have been when it started, all the way to 1806. They tried this 10-day calendar or 10 days per week calendar.
Wow.
With 10 hours per day. So I don't even know.
Wow.
That's quite a shift. I mean, I think the French were trying to just say, "Hey, we want to be different." I mean, because they even show the 10-hour clock as a picture here.
Wow.
So you see this only 10 hours.
And you only got 10 hours in a full day, or is it like our clocks you'd have, is it a...
Yeah, so then you go through twice, right?
So it's a
maybe it's a 20-hour day then?
20-hour day?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, each day was divided into 10 hours, each hour into 100 decimal minutes, and each minute into 100 decimal seconds.
So they were doing the metric system
Yeah,
by decimal pointing.
right. Yeah. Well, I've never heard of that before, so I wonder if people have looked back and said, maybe he put to a stop because it was like, this is just dumb and we've tried this for 12 years and it's not working out. Like, because to me, wouldn't it throw off the, we've used the, what is that, the, when the sun comes up and the sun goes down, like the circadian rhythm, like of your body, like your body rises when the sun rises and it's time to go to bed when the sun goes down.
I should pay attention to that.
Right.
We'd be like in bed at 4:15 right now.
I know, which would be crazy. You're like, okay, we're getting to bedtime now. Like, oh, no. I cannot go to bed at 4:30.
Who's going to bed, silly goose?
Yeah. But I wonder if anybody has gone back and studied that. I'm assuming only 12 years it didn't work out, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other things about the number 10?
Well, I mean, I like the number 10. It's, two sets of five, and five's my favorite number. I mean, and I don't know. 10 seems to be a jolly number.
Jolly number. There were 10 plagues in Egypt, biblically.
Yeah. There's, there's a lot of 10 stuff, all the 10s. This is episode 10. And for those who are tired of hearing about the Enneagram, good news.
There's no Enneagram 10.
There is no Enneagram 10.
Yeah. Yeah, but that last plague. Oh, of course, then you get the 10 commandments too, if you're looking at biblically, right?
There were, yep, 10.
Yeah. And so then number 10 of the plagues is death of the firstborn. And then you look at the 10th commandment, which is like coveting your neighbor's stuff. Whether it's intellectual properties or actual properties. So you get all of that. Yeah, there's lots of things in the Bible uses 10 quite a bit.
Yeah.
10 pounds, 10 virgins, both parables. So,
Yeah. Yeah, the number 10 also, just has just a great, I don't know. I just am excited about it being 10.
yeah.
Because it does form a sense of completion. I would settle into that.
Which would speak to Hinduism. They say that the god Vishnu has been reincarnated, or will be reincarnated 10 times. Vishnu has been reincarnated 9 times already, according to Hinduism. The final and 10th time is yet to come. So they would say I guess it's over at that point. I don't know. They say final, but I don't know what the final reincarnation of Vishnu means, but
wow. Now that's exciting.
it's exciting. Yeah. So it seems like they either use 10 as the end or a 10 as a beginning in multiple times here. So
yeah. The lucky number 10.
Lucky number 10.
So I think then what I would do is in 1910.
Mm-hmm.
1910 in the year of history. All right. January 10th in 1910, Joyce Hall founds Hallmark cards.
Oh, look at that. Who knew? Now we do.
The Boy Scouts of America is organized and incorporated by William Du Bois.
Du Bois. Yeah. So there were 1910. So it would be 1, 10, 10. What happened on 10, 10, 10? Anything?
Joyce Hall founded Hallmark cards.
Oh, I thought you said that was January.
Oh, you mean
I was 10 October.
October 10th.
Yeah, October 10th of 1910. So 10, 10, 10.
Tau Epsilon Phi fraternity is founded by 10 Jewish men at Columbia University as a response to the existence of similar organizations which would not admit Jewish members. They did that on purpose. It was 1910, and they picked October 10th and founded by 10 Jewish men. They knew what they were doing.
So they were looking at the 10.
October 1, Los Angeles Times bombing, leaving 21 dead and several injured. James B. and John Joseph McNamara were later arrested and sentenced. Yeah. So that's 1910. I mean, that's back there a ways. African-American boxer Jack Johnson defeats white boxer James J. Jeffries in a heavyweight boxing match, sparking riots across the United States. See, that not a lot has changed. The Great Fire of 1910, wildfire burns about 3 million acres in northeast Washington, northern Idaho, and western Montana. Yeah. Yeah, so the number 10.
Yeah. And it's funny, in 1810, there was not a lot of 10s that were like January 10th, there's nothing. October 10th, there's nothing. So they weren't necessarily looking at the 10, 10, 10 in 1810.
Now, on more popular current history, 2010,
right?
Ongoing financial crisis and recession. The Winter Olympics are held in Vancouver. China launches their second moon probe. I feel bad saying that out loud.
Like a moon probe.
Yeah. SpaceX successfully launches Dragon capsule in 2010.
Apparently there was a movie called 2010, The Year We Make Contact. I don't know. I'm assuming that has to do with aliens. Yep, it is. A joint U.S.-Soviet expedition is sent to Jupiter to learn exactly what happened to the Discovery and its HAL 9000 computer. So,
the Chicago Blackhawks won their first Stanley Cup since 1961 in 2010. Go Hawks!
Right.
Well, I bet people are tired of us rambling on about the number 10.
They're like, wait, how long is it? 40 minutes? Like, whoa. Well, we did talk about video games for a little while.
Yeah,
so.
The first 20 minutes is video games. The next 20 minutes is...
So relax, everybody.
Just calm down.
But I think we've pointed out, 10 is pretty significant. Yeah. So what are we talking about today, Steve?
I don't know.
What do we have on this 10th episode of the 7th season? 7-10.
I thought it was monumental, just the idea of by us getting to this episode marks the 70th full-length podcast that we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you consider trailers, that puts us at like 140 recordings and uploads, and the beat goes on.
I was just thinking 710. It's also my anniversary is 710.
There you go. Man, you get a gold star for remembering that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
July 10th. Why did I get married in Arizona in July? I don't know. Lots of people asked, what are you doing? Why are you getting married in July?
That's funny. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What were you doing?
I don't know.
You were getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I let my wife pick the date. That's what happened.
Well, you know what? She did good. It's a good number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
710.
710.
Like a 710 split.
No, I wasn't thinking that at all. Oh, man.
Those are the hardest to pick up, right? In bowling.
I have no idea.
710, I think they're the two corners of the pins.
I see.
Yeah. So if you leave these two, like they're the hardest to be able to pick it up. Like
Yeah.
You have to hit the right angle, the right force to be able to send one of the pins over to hit the other pin. So
Yeah. With the spin on the ball, creating
right.
the English or the Irish. I don't know.
I don't know.
My dad was a bowler, but
Yeah. I just remember from like probably video games going back to that full circle. When you're looking at it like, oh, like you get a 7 and a 10 and those are the two farthest apart in the back. So,
yeah.
All right.
All right.
Numbers, everybody, even though, as you know, if you've listened to Cut Daisies and Unicorns, we don't really like we don't like math on this podcast.
Yeah.
But what we found is that numbers are cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's lots of significance in the numbers and the meanings of behind the numbers.
And season 7 will
Season
go down
7
as the season of numbers.
Right.
Yeah. Or
It is.
the exploration,
Mm-hmm.
the exploratory exercise.
Exploratory exercise of numbers.
Moon probe.
Moon probe. Yeah, that does sound funny. Moon probe.
SpaceX sends
Like somebody's getting penetrated.
Oh,
The
ew.
The moon.
Ew. Come on. Phil.
I'll just throw that out to you guys. I mean, I don't know. That's what comes to mind when you talk about probing. But where are we at today on this day of what are we? Oh yeah, this is December 1st for us as we tape. You'll be listening to us on December 3rd, right? No, yep. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 1, 2, 3. Yep. No. Where's the 4th? What is Sunday? Is it the 4th or the 3rd?
Oh my gosh.
4th.
Phil.
It's the 4th. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. Trying to do math too,
That's so crazy.
Adding days. And these are small numbers. It would be easy. Should be.
In theory. In theory.
Oh man. Jerry Lawson, apparently that's what Google is celebrating today. Jerry Lawson's birthday. 82nd birthday. I don't know who Jerry Lawson is, so
That's fair.
fair. You're like, so why bring it up? I have no idea. I don't know. But it's sometimes fun to look at what Google likes to celebrate. You're like, what are we celebrating today, Google? And for those that have Google phones, isn't it the Google Pixel? Don't they have the, can't you just say, hey, Google, and that will respond? Just like Siri on these phones and
Yeah.
Alexa on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
They all have those assistants.
Yeah.
You just say, hey, fill in the blank.
Yeah, I'm not in tune with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of funny, like when we first got our iPhones,
Mm-hmm.
and she would really answer like interesting questions.
Right.
But then as people were doing that, then they reprogrammed her, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't.
Yeah. They made it AI,
Yeah,
so it was able to learn.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that was I think I've talked about that on the podcast before with Alexa. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden she just started talking like, "Hey, so I'm trying to learn. Would you like to have a conversation with me?" Like, what? Like, I mean, it was like not instigated at all. I didn't say, "Hey, Alexa," like I didn't say any of that.
yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like, boom, out of no. Hey, I'd like to learn, and I want to learn about conversation. Like, no. You stop it.
Oh, yeah. See, I just, yeah.
Yeah.
People wonder why, like, I haven't heard from Steve for a couple hours or whatever, like if they text or something like that, because we're so instant response focused,
Oh yeah.
and it just, it's one of those things where I'm like, no, I'll leave my phone sitting on a counter and I'm working and doing whatever. I don't even want that thing near me. I mean,
Yeah, which I think if you've known Steve at all, like that's just what you know. Like you can say there are times that I'll text you and you're near your phone and you have it, you'll text back. But
Yeah.
I know like sometimes like if I text, like I know he may not be near his phone and I may not get a text back. Right? I mean, that's just the way it goes.
I have instituted a new policy, which is that I leave the ringer on. Now, I was so ingrained that I had it on silent.
Yeah.
Because when you're in meetings all day long and you got your phone, and I mean, and typically would even make it a practice where I would have my phone upside down on the table, so that, and I did that not to, like, I didn't get preachy with anybody about, hey, you should do this too. I just did it as an example. Here's how we treat technology when we're supposed to be paying attention to one another.
Right.
And if you need me to help you work out something you want to have done, then if I'm going to pay attention, I don't need that distraction.
Yes.
But yeah, I just really and I think that I find that if I do have my, I mean, that's why I don't do the iWatch or and stuff. There are people who have them that really enjoy all the tricks and fancies, But I'm like, I can tell what time it is based on where the sun's at.
You're going old school. Sundial.
I mean, in the morning, the sun's coming through the windows on that side of the house, and in the afternoon, the sun's coming through the windows on the other side of the house, and I know that it's getting dark. So, golden hour sun, just the beautiful hues and stuff like that. It starts happening about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then the sun is, by 3:30, is crested over the trees, or, on the other side. And it's, yeah. And so I'm like, well, I suppose it's time to start making dinner.
Sun's going down. Bedtime. Time for bed.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I can't even imagine working in that system. I mean, because one, I also don't want to get up when the sun gets up.
Yeah, that you and I have in common. I'm not a fan of. I don't mind getting started. I just don't like to.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do it if I have to.
Right.
But I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, and this is where the want and have to, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's the sense of obligation. I would do that for the sake of obligation of somebody else, or,
Right.
whatever, but I don't want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes I just curl up in the fetal position with my eyes closed and just whine. I don't want to get up. Right?
Look at that picture. Imagine that picture. Steve in the fetal position, weeping.
Oh my gosh, right? But then, and I am. I'm just the opposite. Although I will say, I've been getting good rest recently, and so that, affects. But I'm in the middle of doing a bunch of house fix-it projects, and I'm just a guy with a bad attitude right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, house projects.
I learned how to set a toilet. It's not as difficult as I've told myself over the years.
That's funny.
It really is. Well, the idea of, I mean, right now, plumbers are getting anywhere from $100 to $200 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea of paying someone $200 to put a $158 toilet down was irritating to me.
That is irritating.
And so then I started thinking about it. I've plunged toilets so that they work. I've replaced the little flapper things when those have worn out.
Uh-huh.
I've even put new valves and switches on in toilet. I'm like, the only thing between me being able to set a toilet and not set a toilet is watching a YouTube video. I'm convinced. And so I watched a YouTube video and I set my first toilet last week. And my future has me setting another toilet this week.
So at least you're like cutting that down, right? You're like, I've just done this.
I don't have to watch a video to set a toilet again.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, right. And if I were a plumber, I would want $200 an hour too. I don't like that work.
Yeah. That is funny. And I think we've I don't know, it was a couple of years ago we got new toilets in the house here, and it was, like there was the charge for the toilets, but then you also have the hourly, which was, where it actually really drove up the price, the cost. So,
yeah.
Yep. Crazy times.
Yeah.
But, no, and that's the reason why when they talk about, people getting into the trades, right?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a trade that, the trades, if you are working in those trades, you can make good money.
You can.
And you don't have to go to college, you have to go to trade school.
Right.
In order to be able to be, in there. So
I personally have, and this is the two-edged sword. My work in construction and painting, like I never worked with drywall until I became a painter. But then when you're painting, like high volume painting,
yeah,
and I was doing it in apartment complexes. Well, if somebody moved out and there was wall damage, you had to fix it. Well, 1 fix, 2 fix, 3 fix, right on down the line. And eventually you figure out that, now you know how to drywall. And that's a skill set. Oh, I just said it out loud. That is something that I made sure nobody knew about.
Your skill set?
Well, because people be like, oh, hey, we're finishing our basement, and stuff like that. And I'm like, cool, have fun, Now, I did make a promise to my son. I'm like, hey, if you go finish in the basement, I'm like, I'll come out for a week and I'll tape and mud. And he said, but I'm past the point of carrying 4x8, 4x10, 4x12 sheets of sheetrock. That is work.
That is work.
And then, to his point, he said, yeah, but the ceiling's already done. I mean, like they already put the sheetrock up and stuff. I'm like, that's awesome, because that's the hard work too, is lifting that stuff up above your head and getting
it in place.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, it just, one project after another. And now with YouTube, I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, there's nothing you can't learn how to do something.
Right.
I mean,
it's all there.
I'm going to install a pocket door too.
A pocket door?
Uh-huh.
Where?
On the bathroom.
Oh, what does a pocket door do? Are there pockets? Is there hot pockets in there?
No. But you like hot pockets, huh?
Well, I mean, I used to. They're not good for you.
Yeah.
Don't. They're not nutritious at all.
Yeah.
Zero nutrition.
Don't eat this hot pocket.
Right.
A pocket door, yeah, it goes into the wall. Mm-hmm. It's the door that slides into the wall is a pocket door.
Okay.
You've never used a pocket door?
I'm sure I have used a pocket door. I mean, I think the cabinet in our bathroom is probably a pocket door because it's in the wall.
There you go.
There we go.
Pocket door.
Yeah. I guess I just didn't know the name for a pocket door.
Yeah, it's basically, you know how closets have doors that slide? You can have a bifold door, or you can have just regular straight doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're on rails. And so this is installing a rail system in a wall so that the door can slide into the wall.
Oh.
That way it's not swinging out into the space.
Oh, so that's not a pocket door then. That would, because it has swinging out.
Ah.
So a pocket door doesn't swing out. That's the intention.
Right. It slides into the wall.
Got it.
To open.
Yeah.
And then you slide it into the opening to close it. Thus, it becoming a door.
In a pocket. Oh my gosh. It's a pocket, everybody. There's a pocket in the wall. That's right.
It's true. There is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's good. Wall pockets. Everybody needs a wall pocket.
And you can get just the rail, and you can then frame it in and do all the stuff, or you can get an actual framed rail and then so I'll only take off one side of sheetrock.
How long does it take you to do a pocket wall, start to finish?
I haven't found out yet. I haven't.
You haven't done it before.
I haven't done it before.
Oh, is this one that you learned on YouTube or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By being prompted by my wife.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey,
she likes pockets.
I'm thinking a pocket door, and I watched a video, and I think that you have the skills to be able to do this."
It's even better when the pocket door gets thrust upon you. You have the skills to be able to do this.
I'm pretty sure you do. And then I watched a video. I watched 2 videos. And I said to myself, I do have the skill set to do this.
Self? You do.
So I will be a pocket door installer. Yeah.
And then you can add that to your skill set that you won't tell anybody about.
Unless they listen to season 7, episode 10, they won't know.
But you did out yourself on the
I did.
The drywall, so.
Well, now there's the difference is that I still have the ability to say no.
It's true.
That
is within your full capacity.
I mean, even in my SimCity self, I could still say no.
The simulated Steve may not have a choice.
But I've been programmed with a choice in my simulation.
It's true.
Yeah. So I'm, and be like, and it's just one of those things where, yeah, if somebody else puts up the sheetrock. Now, I'm putting up sheetrock after I install the pocket door.
Yeah. Drywall is not cheap right now either, from what I hear.
Nothing's cheap right now.
Oh, yeah. I guess
I
that's
mean,
true.
like, tell me something that's cheap. Avocados are $2.49.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, even the dollar menu at places are now like $1.25.
Are they really?
Yeah, there's no. I don't know if there's anybody who has a dollar menu still.
Oh my gosh.
So they're like, no, you're gonna pay more than $1.
You pay more. Yeah.
So what benefit can we bring people today? Should we talk about the simulated life? I don't know if that's going to bring people anything good other than like them questioning their own reality.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll save that for an episode in season 8. Simulation.
Simulation philosophy.
Is our life a simulation?
Yeah. It's a great question.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who are like, I mean, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson. What's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I'm looking at you like you're talking a foreign language.
All right, hold on.
Because I'm not with you. I don't have the knowledge. In my simulation, I've not been programmed with said knowledge.
Yeah, Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's an astrophysicist.
Oh, okay.
So, smart dude. Talks about the universe all the time.
Oh, yeah?
And all kinds of stuff. And he believes that we're in a simulation.
Wow.
Yeah. And talks a lot about it. So, I mean, he's had conversations with people about, are we living in a simulation? So, yeah. He studied at Harvard, the University of Texas at Austin, and Columbia University.
There's
Yeah.
some smart people out there.
And he did his postdoctoral research at Princeton. So, I mean, you get Harvard, Princeton. I don't know why you'd pick University of Texas then, but that's a jab for those people out there.
Living in Texas.
Just at the University of Texas. Yeah. So.
Yeah. The did he do post-grad work, or was that his?
That was postdoctoral.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he was still doing work beyond his doctorate. And you asked the question, I wonder how many doctorates he does have, and I don't know the answer. But he does have a lot of honorary doctorates as well that people give him. But he actually has doctorates of his own that he earned through the education.
Wow.
So he's got 9 honorary doctorates. Well, that's not my question. My question is, how many actual doctorates does he have? Oh, they're taking me through his whole thing. I just want to know. I mean, because when you get to be an astrophysicist, you know, I mean, I'm assuming there might be an undergrad astrophysicist, but I mean, like, if you're claiming, I mean, like, most likely you've got a set of doctorates. Star Trek radio. See, now this one on Reddit says he has 17 honorary degrees. So who knows?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you can recommend for somebody to go into that line of work.
Astrophysicism?
Yeah. Salary.com says they make 76 to 130K a year.
Huh.
I mean, now this other one here says that salaries of astrophysicists in the U.S. range from $16,000 a year to $422,000 a year.
Yikes.
With a median salary of $77,000. Wow. Well, thankfully, the government pays our NASA astrophysicists more than median.
Yeah.
They make about $93,000 a year.
Wow, that's still not much, huh? So who is the most PhD holder in the world? Benjamin Bradley Bolger. He was born in 1975 and he has earned 16 degrees as of March 2022. He claims to be the second most credentialed person in modern history after Michael Nicholson, who has 30 degrees. So why do you bring up Benjamin Bradley Bolger when the other dude has 30?
Maybe the other guy's not alive.
Right. So it says who is the most PhD, and then you get the guy in bold who has like half of what the other guy has. Like, wouldn't you think you would mention the first guy first? He's got 30 degrees.
We're arguing with our research assistant right now.
Right.
Come on, Google.
Be better than that. Yeah, and he's from Flint, Michigan. Both of them are. Flint, Michigan must be putting out some smart people. The lead in the water didn't affect them.
I was going to say, we're dealing with poison water.
Right. So maybe that means that we can get smart by drinking the water here in Chicago. More degrees, everybody. More degrees. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to get another degree. Sometimes I think about learning. I mean, we've talked about learning on here, being a constant learner, but it doesn't have to be attached to a degree. That's, I guess, is the...
Yeah, I mean, do you really want to go back to school?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got enough stuff to learn that I'm not learning right now.
It's true.
That, I mean, like putting a schedule to it, maybe that would make it easier.
Yeah. And I think that's really the discipline towards it is because you're in school, you have to turn in stuff.
It's actually third episode of Tulsa King.
Yeah.
Like Stallone takes this kid through this whole thing on why he should go to college.
No.
And he's like, it doesn't matter what you study. People just want you with a paper in your hand that shows that you showed up where you were supposed to be on time.
Yeah.
That you completed the tasks that were assigned to you, and that you did that consistently for 4 years. So in turn, when they hire you, they're hoping that you will show up on time, do the task that you're asked to do, and that you might at least stay with them for about 4 years.
There you go. It's the purpose of school, everybody. You learn a little bit of discipline. It's kind of like the Army or the other
military
is you're
branches.
supposed to learn discipline there. I mean, I've never been in the military.
Discipline, teamwork,
yeah,
self-care. I mean,
but they always talk about the military is where they tear you down before they build you up.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think school does that.
School can do that to people, though.
Oh, I guess it could.
Yeah, like how many students have gone through emotional meltdowns in the middle of their schooling, and because they're overwhelmed with the tasks that are at hand, and but yeah, the organizational structure, your first week with the syllabuses and going through and marking in your calendar of what things are due and all that stuff. I mean, who got anybody ready for college for that? I still remember there were kids who knew that they should do that. I did not know that that was a thing until I went through my first week of college.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we had teachers that addressed freshmen and be like, hey, so if you don't have a calendar, you need to go to the bookstore and you need to get yourself a calendar. Now, what you need to do with my class is all of the assignments are listed and dated when they're due. So now you go through and you mark that on your calendar so that you're working towards that. Now, so that I get my work from you, I need you to do the same thing with all the other syllabuses from your other teachers so that you're not overwhelmed when you poorly plan getting your homework or your, midterm work and final work and, how many words the papers needed to be and their due dates and when they were going to be. And Now, if you had that map, in theory, if you had extra time, you could work ahead, right?
Mm-hmm.
In theory.
In theory.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
That wasn't my approach.
I don't think I ever really did much planning. I mean, like, I would say all the way through college, I didn't do a whole lot. I mean, like, college was mainly like, oh, I've got something due tomorrow. Oh, what do you mean it's 10 pages? Looks like I'm not sleeping tonight.
Yeah.
Hurry up and rattle something off. Here's 10 pages, hit print. Now we're ready to roll,
Yeah.
I think it wasn't until seminary that I had to start planning a little bit more
Yeah.
because I was also married with children while I was in there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, okay, I've got to get the kids to school. That means I can't stay up all night, even though I did sometimes still.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
yeah. That's the way it goes. So, we've already gone an hour and 17 minutes. Would you like the...
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they called Seinfeld the series about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 10.
Yep. Right.
It's all about nothing.
Well, I mean, and it's appropriate because with the number 10, there's a 0 in it.
Uh-huh.
So what did we accomplish?
0. Yeah. I mean, we had topics today, but I don't know if we...
Well, we're not changing lives.
Right.
Yeah. Which I don't know that we really do
Mm-hmm.
on other episodes, but
Right.
it's more meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think with other episodes, we do try to come up with like, hey, this is kind of where we're going. We have that general sense, and we kind of end with, something that, whether a question or further discussion or whatever,
Yeah.
Today we're like, all right, we're going to talk today, so that's what it was, just talk. We brought up a lot and probably accomplished 0. So that is the goal with episode 10 was 0.
0. Oh my word.
So that leaves you with, season 7. We'll be back to start it off all again. And we're not going to start with 0.
No.
I don't even know if we could do it on YouTube, but I don't know if our podcast audio will let us do 0. So,
Interesting.
yeah,
I'm not familiar with that format, so
right.
we're a little bit like in our own little cylinders.
Yeah, we are.
All things in your ear holes,
Uh-huh.
that's Phil.
Straight up in your ears.
And then all things with your eye holes,
Uh-huh.
that's Steve.
Steve has the majority of the work here, just so you know. Like, that's the harder work right there on the back end, is the getting this out so people see it. You have the majority of the work here. Like,
Yeah.
you would be the king of this
Well,
podcast.
you know what? Here's the deal. It was a real pain in the butt 2 years ago, or 7 seasons ago.
Right.
But I will say that, yeah, now I got a system. And then I just paid a little more do-re-mi so my upload speeds could be good, and that made it not torturous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, this is your Sunday. A Sunday that Cut Daisies has brought you 0, but hopefully you've learned something.
And what we're gonna do is, you may never get to the end of this episode.
Right, it might just be ongoing.
Because the end of this episode, I'm going to put a disclaimer in the title.
Yeah.
That episode 10 is brought to you with nothing. Like no useful content. If you want to look in and see what no useful content ever looks like,
Yeah.
this is going to be the
This will
episode,
be it, everybody.
the mothership
Right.
of no useful content.
Right. Other than we learned that Steve actually is a master craftsman of drywall, pocket doors. Oh, pocket doors soon.
Oh, man.
All right, so maybe then you can share your knowledge of the pocket door once you've done it with the audience so that they too will be pocket door masters.
You just like saying pocket door.
Pocket door.
Phil's pocket door fixation.
Yeah. What I'll tell you is most likely, I would probably put it in the 90% range. I will never put together a pocket door.
Probably 99.9% sure.
Yeah. So that's almost a given that I will not do a pocket door. Because I'm not much of a craftsman. I craft things.
Yeah.
I don't really craft much.
You're a wordsmith. It's a different craft.
It's a different craft. Oh boy. All right, everybody, enjoy your Sunday evening and the week ahead. And we're going to be back at a later point in time with season number 8.
Probably 2023.
Yeah, we'll probably
It's probably where it'll
land. There, yeah.
Which is really weird getting into 2023 and starting a season with an 8.
Right. 2023, season 8.
Yeah. But
on the horizon.
We'll see how the holiday travels go, and we will see about, putting that schedule together. But we are committed.
We are.
To season 8. Episodes 1 through 10.
Right.
Not being a season of numbers.
We're not going to go over that again.
No more number reminiscing.
We left it for season 7.
It's going to stay in season 7.
All right. Peace out, everybody.
All right. See you later.